Hi everybody, this is Dino from Prehistoric Facts. This is a special episode. We're actually going to be talking about two theropod dinosaurs, and they'll go by alphabetical order. We're actually going to be doing Eotyrannus and Gigantoraptor. Let's start with Eotyrannus. Eotyrannus in Greek or Latin means dawn tyrant. Fossils have been found in Western Europe, more likely in the United Kingdom. Early Cretaceous of 120 to 125 million years ago. About 15 feet long, probably would have weighed 300 to 500 pounds, but it could actually reach maybe like 700 pounds. And of course, it's a carnivore. Eotyrannus, with the name, it is actually a type of tyrannosaurid and Tyrannosauridae, and so that actually makes it an early tyrannosaur, primitive tyrannosaur. And so the features of Eotyrannus is that it's got a slender skull. It actually has three-fingered hands, not like your typical Tyrannosaur two-fingered hands like usual. And it's lightly built, and it's actually a very fast and agile type of predator. And so the fossils where Eotyrannus is found, it was found in the Isle of Wight. And that's on the eastern side of England. And so when these fossils were found, a lot of people thought that they could actually look a resemblance to a dromaeosaur. And when you actually look at the skeleton of Eotyrannus, you would think like, oh, it's a raptor, it's a raptorial dinosaur. But the thing is different from Eotyrannus from other raptorial dinosaurs is that one thing is actually it doesn't have that recurved sickle-shaped toe claw, that large toe claw that we see in most dromaeosaurs, and also it doesn't actually have those bony rods on the tail that are kind of interconnecting the vertebrae on the tail, and so that actually makes another difference. And also the teeth of Eotyrannus don't match with dromaeosaurs, because you see, if you look at the premaxillary teeth of Eotyrannus, they're D-shaped in cross-section, and so that's a characteristic of tyrannosaurs. And it's because tyrannosaurs actually have that D-shaped cross-section in their premaxillary teeth, which a lot of carnivorous dinosaurs don't have. A lot of them actually just have, like, say, kind of more like an eyeball type of shape, or otherwise very thin cross section. And so, whereas tyrannosaurs, their cross sections are a little bit thicker in terms of the teeth, and so that actually suggests that Eotyrannus is a type of tyrannosaur. Now, when you actually think about this, Eotyrannus is actually found in Europe, and so you would think like tyrannosaurs are not really that much found. There's not that many tyrannosaurs found in Europe, and it's because the rocks where the sediments were where the rock formations of where you think where tyrannosaurs might be, they're very non-existent, they're very rare, and so that actually suggests that Eotyrannus is a very rare very rare dinosaur in its time. So that actually will make it a very rare predatory dinosaur, and it's not going to be the top predator because it's a very small to medium-sized dinosaur. From my understanding, I heard that the original Eotyrannus, the most complete Eotyrannus specimen that has been found so far, might be considered like a juvenile or adolescent type of specimen. So that means Eotyrannus could actually be larger than what we actually expected. So maybe it could actually be like 20 feet long and probably would have weighed at least like maybe 1,000 pounds. And so that would make it a medium-sized tyrannosaur in its time. And it'd probably be going after hypsilophodontids, probably some small iguanodonts, and because those would actually be the main prey sources for Eotyrannus. Because I don't think it would actually be going after like the armored dinosaurs, because it would be too tricky for them to actually catch. And also, large iguanodontids would not actually be a great food source for them. It's because they're too big. And Probably like with the dromaeosaurs and other small tyrannosaurs and even the larger tyrannosaurs, is that they probably did hunt in packs. So it would not be surprising to at all to actually see that tyrannosaurs actually had their pack hunting styles throughout their evolutionary transitions. You know, because you can probably say that tyrannosaurs kept that ancestral trait of actually being pack hunters throughout the time they actually started to get larger. And so that might be the case of where pack hunting probably was around Tyrannosaurus for pretty much most of its ancestry and throughout its evolution. And of course, the extinction of Eotyrannus that couldn't adapt to the changes, couldn't adapt to the rising sea levels. The rising sea levels would actually be the bigger problem for Eotyrannus. And so that would actually be cause for concern for Eotyrannus. It's because it couldn't find any more territories to actually, like hunt and find food and all that sorts of stuff. And so that actually be very, very hard for Eotyrannus to actually find new territory to actually get into. And now next dinosaur we're actually going to be talking about is Gigantoraptor. And of course, Gigantoraptor in Greek or Latin means giant thief. Because you got giganto, which is giant, and then you actually have raptor, which is thief, and so that actually is giant thief. Gigantoraptor fossils have been found in China and Mongolia, and it was in the formation time. The geologic time, I think it was actually in the Cretaceous, 100 to 90 million years ago. And the Gigantoraptor would have probably weighed close to 1,000 pounds. And Gigantoraptor is a oversized oviraptorid. And so that is actually it's pretty much the largest oviraptorid found by far. And so it actually has a beak with a couple nubby teeth inside its mouth. And considering that's what a lot of the oviraptorids are, is that they actually have a beak, long neck, small head, beak, and they actually have that typical, like a bird-like posture. And so, Gigantoraptor, in terms of the popular culture, it was featured in Dinosaur Revolution, or otherwise Dinotopia, if you actually, or not Dinotopia, Dinotasia, if you want to call it. It actually showed kind of like what a certain type of bird, where it has like this pouch, and the males actually inflate this pouch, and it's be like red and blue type of throat colors and all that. And so I don't think it would actually be like that obvious to actually see that in a Gigantoraptor. But even though they did have like display organs on their body for males, they would have probably have been brightly colored. But I would actually say they would have probably, for display organs, it would have probably been more kind of like guinea fowls or turkeys. Not really like that, sophisticated, like those types of exotic birds. But if they did, I mean, it would have been really, really cool to see. But of course, Gigantoraptor probably was covered in feathers, because if you actually look at all the oviraptorids that have been found, they actually do have fossil evidence to show that oviraptorids were covered in feathers, and so that shows a bird-like lineage. And so that actually shows that they actually are considered to be really related to birds. And they are part of the Coelurosauria family tree, and so they are that type of theropods. Now, Gigantoraptor might be more herbivorous than carnivorous. Now, they probably would be omnivorous, considering that they do actually have these nubby teeth that they could actually be eating like small prey items like mammals, small reptiles, and probably could actually get into like dinosaur eggs if it actually had to. But most of the evidence actually suggests that the egg-laying posture, that the eggs that are surrounding oviraptorids, those are actually all their own eggs. Those are actually their own eggs, and they're actually brooding their nests. And you see a lot of oviraptorids in their brooding posture when they died. It's because they were buried alive when they actually, when like this phenomenon occurred where they got buried alive. And so that is that indication, is that they were really, really good parents. They showed parental care. And Gigantoraptor probably would have actually had not that many natural predators. The only predator it would actually probably be fearing is Electrosaurus, a type of tyrannosaur. And so because I would say like the juveniles would actually be under threat from like Electrosaurus, and so Gigantoraptor, an adult Gigantoraptor, would be too large for Electrosaurus to actually handle, and so they'd probably be living in pairs, in small family groups, that sort of thing, and of course, like the extinction of Gigantoraptor is pretty much is that it couldn't adapt to the new changes, probably couldn't adapt to animals that actually probably were a little bit smarter than it was, and also is just that oviraptors started to get a little bit more sophisticated in terms of like their display structures and also their behaviors, and so because as there's more and more desert that actually came around, gigantism is not the right answer, and so you actually have to kind of actually shrink down a little bit in order to actually adapt to the really hot, dry conditions of a desert. Alright, that's it for now, and next week would actually be an answering questions episode. So if you got questions about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinochrist71@gmail.com, or just go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comment section or on the wall on my Facebook page. And you can also follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. Also, take care of people around you. And also, for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have good education. With a good education, you get a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.